This week's challenge is all about string calculations, and these can be really useful when dealing with messy data, but it might be a little bit challenging, so don't worry if this is one of the challenges that you got a bit stuck on. So let's take a look at the data. So again, we're working with these projects run by these project managers, and we've got different weeks that commentaries are being entered into the system. So you can do these steps in pretty much any order, but I started at the first one because that's quite logical. All you had to do was add on that week to the week number. And the way that I chose to do that was to just literally write the word week with a space and then a plus sign with the week field turned into a string. That's what the str means there. Because if you don't have the string, if I just get rid of that for a second, then you'll notice that we get an error if we just try and add on that week field. And it's saying it can't accept the parameters string integer. So it can't combine strings with numbers. It just doesn't understand how to do that. So you need to make both of those data types be strings. So I'll just pop that str back in there and hit save. And that's how we get our week field. Now we've got to work out how we're going to split up this commentary field. So if I just expand this field quickly to take a closer look at it, then we can see that we've got this information in square brackets about the project, the sub-project, and also the task. I wasn't very clear about what each of those was until I looked into the lookup tables, so I definitely recommend doing that too. And then we've just got some kind of detail about that comment. So what we want, and we can see, sorry, that for each week that we can have multiple projects that are having comments made on them. And, so every time we see the square brackets, that's where it kind of highlights that we're moving on to a different project. So the logical thing to do here, the way to split this up initially, is to split on the first opening square bracket. So I'm just going to make this smaller again in the view, otherwise it remembers it for future steps, and that can actually be a little bit annoying. So yeah, let's go ahead and split up these comments using the first opening square bracket. So I'll show you how to do that actually first. So if you go into split values and do a custom split, then we're just going to use that opening square bracket and we're going to split off all those fields. And that will give us what I have in the next step, which is all of these, many fields. I think there's about 8 of them of our commentary all split off. So great. The only other thing that I do here is remove that commentary field that we start with because all the information is contained in these split out fields. So then we want to pivot this so that we have a row for each of those projects' comments rather than having 8 different columns. So I use a wildcard pivot search there on the dash, and that brings me down this list of all of those project comments. And then we do a little bit more splitting. So we split based on the second opening bracket. So where we had that square opening bracket, we now split on the closing bracket for that square. So that's the split that we're doing there. Then we're doing a split as well on the slash here, on the forward slash, and splitting those out into the project and sub-project fields. And also we need to split on that dash that we've got between the sub-project and the task. So we're just using those same skills that we used before to get to this result at the end here, where we have our project, sub-project, and task all split out. And yeah, I said that we need to look at our lookup tables in order to realize that they're the project, sub-project, and task. So let's just take a look at those. So our project, we can see that project code. That was the first bit of that information that was inside the square bracket. Then in our sub-project, we can see that's either MAR or OP for marketing and operations. And then we've also got our task codes, which are the BU, DE, or SC. And that's how we realize what information is in those square brackets. And then we can just use our joins to make sure that we're joining our sub-project to our sub-project code, project to our project code, etc. and so forth. There is an additional step that we need to do to our sub-project, because if I go back to this field, then we have mar, op, and ops, and we just need to group together op and ops basically. So you can either highlight both these and say group them, you can go to the drop down and say group values, grouping on spelling works. Yeah, a lot of different ways that you can overcome that challenge. So we join all of those together, we join our project, we join our sub-project, and we join our task. And then finally, we've also got another lookup for the owner. And if we take a look at our fields here, then in our comments always end the last four letters, the last three letters, sorry, are going to be a name and then a full stop. So we need to use a right calculation here. So the last four letters, so right, comment, 4. So we just want those final four characters from there. And what that gives us is, car, Jen, John, and Tom with a full stop at the end. And we just need to clean that up by removing the punctuation by going to the drop down, saying clean, and saying remove punctuation. And that gives us our names that we can join on and get to the correct owner names. Awesome. So we've nearly got all of our columns out now from that splitting, from those joins, from those lookups, which is great. Now, one of the things that is present in some of these comments is a number. So say 3 days needed. For example, there we've also got 8 days. And the way that we can split that out, we've got a couple of different options here. I'm going to start off with my personal favorite way to do that, which would be the regex solution, but I know that regex isn't something that everyone feels very comfortable with. So I'll just quickly skim over that. So the way that I would create this days noted field would be to use the regex extract function. And it would be coming from that comment field. And what I'd be doing is I'd have these two inverted commas surrounding my expression. I would have brackets surrounding it too. So inverted comma, bracket, and then bracket, inverted comma. The brackets mean this is what I want to pull out of the text. And this \d simply means number. So I want a digit to come out of there. And the little plus just means one or more. So one or more numbers. So that's basically all that I'm saying there. And that will give me back my numbers. I would need to then change that to a number type. I haven't done that there. And that's all I'd need to do for that. I personally find regex to be easier, but let's go through using string calculations as well. So another way to do it would be to make use of the mid calculation and the find calculation. So what we're doing here is we're saying that, okay, let's go from the inside out to read this calculation. So we're using the find calculation to say in the comment, find space days. So because we know that it'll either say 3 days, 8 days, 10 days. So look for the space days, and then that find calculation will return to us the numerical place where space days appears. So say it's in, I don't know, the 10th character is where it starts. So we're going to -2 from that so that we get back to the number value, because that's what we want to then pick up. So from our comment, we now have the space where our number will be, and we want to just take 2 characters after that. So that if it's a 10, if it's an 8, we still get it. We might get some spaces in there, but that doesn't matter. So that's the way to do it using the mid and the find calculations. And you'll see what comes out there. We mostly get numbers, but we also do get some letters coming through too. So we want to remove our punctuation and remove our letters by going to clean, remove letters and clean remove punctuation. And then that'll just leave us with the numbers that we can change into a number data type. And we've got to our same solution that we had before. All that's left to do is to rename a field, rename that comment to be detail, rearrange some of the columns to be in the right order, and we've got to the output. So hopefully that was nice and clear, and thanks very much for watching.